Welcome into Sportsmemo's betting podcast for June 6th. It's Thursday. We're talking tonight's MLB slate, plus look at the NBA Finals as well with Rob Veno. Rob, welcome into the podcast. How are you?
I am great today, Drew. How about yourself?
I am doing good, Robbie, and hopefully finding some winners on tonight's MLB slate. Make sure to check out sportsmemo.com for plays for tonight's slate. We got 7:05 p.m. Eastern, 4:05 p.m. Pacific first pitch here in the AL East. New York Yankees at the Toronto Blue Jays. J.A. Happ versus Edwin Jackson going for Toronto. Looks like a total of 10 in this one, Robbie. Near $2 favorites here. The Yankees on the road. You looking to get involved with this AL East matchup?
Well, I don't like to get involved in $2 plays, Drew, with favorites, but it's hard to make a case for Edwin Jackson, right? I mean, he's just been horrendous since being added to the Toronto rotation. 16 and a third innings, 30 hits and 6 walks, so 36 base runners in 16 and a third innings. Last 3 starts have been disastrous: against Boston, against San Diego, at Colorado, which I guess, we can give pitchers a pass for when they don't perform well in Coors, but it's been every outing for him, and the Blue Jays are 0-4 in his starts. The total is 3-1 to the over in his starts, mostly due to his ineffectiveness as a pitcher. So you get J.A. Happ here, who should have some advantages, Drew, because Toronto light hitting against left-handers. The Yankees absolutely maul right-handers, so those particular situational offensive numbers really favor the Yanks. Toronto hasn't been a good home offense. The Yanks have been a great road offense. A lot of things just add up here. Now, the Yankee bullpen obviously deeper and stronger than that of the Blue Jays, but they did have a little bit of usage last night, and lucky for the Yanks that they have so many. They can go 4 deep and really feel comfortable with any one of them. Perhaps, you could argue they could go 5. But Zach Britton, 23 pitches last night. Maybe you don't see him here. Tommy Kahnle threw 20. Perhaps he can come back. Adam Ottavino threw 26. Not so sure they'll come back with him. Aroldis Chapman hasn't had to pitch this week at all, so he's good to go if they need a ninth-inning closeout. But maybe the way Jackson's going, maybe they don't even need the closeout here if they can get up by enough runs. For the Blue Jays, it's been a hot offense lately, and hey, give them credit. 2 straight against the Yanks in comeback fashion last night, down 7-4. They come back and win, so things have clicked a little bit here in this series for the Blue Jays. I just don't have any desire to get behind Edwin Jackson as a starter here, and if I had to, I think I'd be on the Yanks and just chop the line down by going run line. Even at that price, I think last I looked through, it was around $1.20, $1.22, somewhere in that vicinity. You do have the visitor with that ninth inning at bat as well, but you have to assume that Toronto is going to have their at bat in the bottom of the ninth, so that edge gets washed away a little bit. Just feel like Yankee offense probably hits Jackson a heck of a lot harder than the Blue Jays, who have struggled against lefties this year, hit Happ. And Happ's last start was really, really good as well, so maybe he's rounding into form right now.
Yeah, good breakdown, Robbie. I agree with you there. We got another good one coming up next. We're going to talk a 7 o'clock Eastern, 8 o'clock Eastern, and then we got 2 10 o'clock Easterns before we get to the NBA Finals. And Robbie, on tomorrow's slate for the podcast schedule, we're going to have you back on, and we're talking the Big Ten East. Is that correct?
That is correct. It's, they used to name it Legends and something. I mean, they've had a lot of crazy names for those 2 divisions. But we'll talk the one with Michigan, Michigan State, Ohio State, Penn State, Maryland, who the heck else is in there? Indiana, and I'm missing one, Drew, but you get the gist. We'll be on Big Ten East football tomorrow, full coverage.
All right, good stuff. So, guys, make sure to tune in tomorrow for college football previews. Continuing on here at Sports Memo, we're going to be hitting at least one division of each conference for the rest of the summer until kickoff, and we would have covered them all. So the SEC, ACC are already there. You can go to sportsmemo.com on the podcast tab and go back and listen to them if you're into that. But we got another game here, 7:10 Eastern first pitch, Robbie. Minnesota at Cleveland. We got Berrios versus Bauer. Seeing Cleveland laying about -118, taking some money. Opened 107, now up to a little 10-point move here, up to about -118. 8.5 being the total. I like the Twins here, Robbie. I know of late they haven't been as hot on the offensive end, but still, I think that the Minnesota Twins as an underdog here with Berrios on the hill as the side. How do you feel?
Yeah, it would be hard to play the Cleveland side. I'll say this. It's an interesting series, Drew, because it seems as if, and it's probably the truth, but it seems as if Cleveland is playing to salvage their season already in the first week in June. Now, they've won 2 straight in this series. They come back, I think, from a 4-run deficit last night against Minnesota to win. They're still 9.5 games out of first place. A loss here tonight places them 10.5 out. Even a sweep of the Twins still leaves them 8.5 out. Now, losing Carlos Carrasco was supposed to be last night's starter. Blood disorder has him on the IL at this point in time, and they're struggling to find starting pitching for this team right now, along with any consistent style offense. The offense has been pretty good in these 2 games. But I'm with you here. The pitching matchup, even if you want to classify this matchup as even, and I don't know that I would, just because Trevor Bauer has been victimized by the home run ball quite a bit in his last 6 starts, and Minnesota is just a power-laden offense. Don't forget Nelson Cruz came back this week and is inserted into that offense as well once again. So the Twins' ability to go deep against a guy like Bauer, who admittedly has been up in the zone for quite some time now. I've read a quote from manager Terry Francona, who said he thinks the stuff is still there and the velocity is still there, but the location has not. And Trevor Bauer got knocked out of the box his last start. I think they lost 6-1. So, Berrios hasn't been quite on top of his game as consistently as he was to start the season, but last start was good. You can always, when you're making 33, 34 starts a year as a starting pitcher, there's going to be a couple in there back-to-back, or maybe 2 of 3 that just aren't up to the capability of that particular starter. I think that's the case here with Berrios. The bullpen would be an issue for me on Cleveland's side. I think there's some fatigue factor there. It's not a good bullpen to begin with, but the one reliable arm in the 9th inning, Brad Hand, has pitched back-to-back days. Low pitch count, 20 pitches, but still back-to-back. I'm always leery of a guy 3rd and 3 days if they call upon him in the 9th, if that's the case of the game. You've got 3 other guys who threw 20 or more pitches last night, 5 guys who threw 19 or more pitches last night. And again, we're not talking about top-notch relievers coming out of the Cleveland bullpen. So I think there's reasons to certainly like Minnesota here, even if you were to classify this starting pitching matchup as even, which I don't. A little bit surprised at the movement in the line, but then again, money in baseball, Drew, is a little bit different than money bet in football and basketball, where a lot of the money plays streaks, current form in baseball. And, often rightfully so, because it's a long season and teams do go through longer streaks, win or lose. Right now, I think people backing Trevor Bauer or money backing Trevor Bauer is simply based on the fact that they're in a desperate mode and the fact that they've played well in this series. But, the Twins have bounced back all season long. I don't see any reason to doubt them here. I think the plus price with Berrios probably good. A lot of his bullpen used up as well the last couple of days. So this really comes down, to me, to a battle of offenses. And for me, a guy giving up home runs against the Twins, that's not the place I want to be.
Robbie, good stuff on the 7 o'clock games. Let's move to 8 o'clock Eastern first pitch. We got Baltimore at Texas. Looks like a total of 11. Texas, the Rangers, laying about -180 at home.
Yeah, Gerardo's been good in 2 starts, Drew. They took him out of the bullpen, gave him a couple of starts here. Both have been quality starts. You're talking about 6 innings and 6 1/3, and only allowing 2 earned runs. Now, Kansas City's not the best offense in the world, but the Angels' offense, especially in Anaheim, as you and I have discussed multiple times this year about their prowess at home offensively as opposed to the road, that to me 6 1/3, 6 hits, 2 earned runs, qualifies as a real good outing for him. And you're against David Hess here in Arlington, where in these months where we start to get towards summer, the ball travels even better in Arlington. And here's a guy who's had home run difficulties all season long. How about 19 home runs on the year allowed by Hess in 53 innings? That's one home run, less than 3 innings pitched. So, Texas, even despite the fact that Joey Gallo's not in the lineup right now, they've got more than enough power in their home park to take advantage of the long ball against Hess. The Orioles in his 11 starts this year are 2-9, so it hasn't been good when he's been on the hill. He doesn't make it through 6 innings. I think just looking over his game log this morning, I think I had filed away here that he made it through 6 full innings only twice in 11 starts this year. So that doesn't bode well either, because the bullpen for the Orioles is not a strength. I think there's a zillion reasons here to feel like Gerardo's the right side. But again, money poured in heavily on this team throughout the day, to the point where now you're looking at the Texas Rangers as a $1.80 favorite. Don't know that I could go that crazy and bet them at minus $1.80, but I think the opener was somewhere in the vicinity of 160. So we've seen a good 20-25 cent move here on the Rangers, rightfully so. I think they're the right side. If you're looking to play them, maybe if you don't like big prices, maybe you can go ahead and play Texas run line. We'll see if Hess's long ball problems keep up with him here tonight. If they do, we saw in the first game, what was it, 12-11 first game of this series, then they came back extra innings last night, 2-1. Bullpens got used up a little bit, but you get the point. Texas can score a lot of runs in a hurry at home against a pitcher that gives up gopher balls.
Guys, we're listening to Robbie Veno break down the MLB card, and if you use coupon code VENO, VENO, at checkout for his 1-year all-access, that coupon code will take $500 off at sportsmemo.com. Coupon code VENO for 1-year all-access, 365 days, includes all sports, all plays, at sportsmemo.com. Coupon code VENO at checkout. Robbie, let's hit the 10 o'clock games real quick before we move on to the NBA. We got a 10 o'clock Eastern first pitch here. You were just talking about the Angels being at home, and they are at home where they do hit better. They're having to lay, over minus 120 here against the Oakland A's. We got Frères versus Skaggs on the hill coming from the left side. 9.5 being the total. This one in LA. How are you feeling about this AL West matchup?
Yeah, the offenses dominated last night, right, Drew? 10-9 final. Mm-hmm. Each team shredded through the opposing team's bullpen. I think you had 11 pitching changes combined in that game last night. Mike Fiers has been real good as of late. He had 3 bad starts where he gave up 6 runs, 6 runs, and 6 runs back in April. But since that point in time, he's made 7 starts and put together a 2.82 ERA and a 0.85 whip. And that's pretty good stuff. It's better than what I can say about Tyler Skaggs. Skaggs, coming from the left side, figures to have a little bit of trouble with the Oakland lineup, because if there's one thing or a couple of things they're really good at, it's hitting left-handers, where their OPS ranks 5th in Major League Baseball. And they're also, we've discussed this over the years too, they're a better offense when they get outside of Oakland, because obviously the Coliseum is cavernous and it doesn't play to hitters. But away from home, they're a top 10 OPS offense, ranked 7 in the Major League. So 2 really good advantages for this Oakland offense. You could counter that with advantages for the or at least positive points about the LA Angels offense. Been red hot as of late. I think when I looked up this morning, over the last 7 days, they're the third highest OPS in Major League Baseball. And of course, as we've said a couple of times already, they prefer to be home offensively. I don't know that I could be on the Angels side, though, Drew. I think I trust the Oakland bullpen a heck of a lot more. Both teams, if you give it a level playing field, which it really is, both teams having used up relievers yesterday. When I went through the charts of both, it looks to me like Oakland has the better arms available here tonight, at least more than the Angels do. The fact that they have to use Cam Bedrosian as an opener, I think twice this week already, or at least twice within the last 5 days, really hurts them on the back end of their bullpen. I think Oakland plus price here, probably well worth a look. As you said, the money's come in on Anaheim, but I think that, Oakland, with their solid offense against lefties and the way Fiers has thrown his last 7 starts, and with Blake Trinan ready to go to close this thing down, that would be the side I'd prefer.
All right, yeah. There's different, I guess, stats pointing towards each side of this. So it's an interesting one because the Angels, like you talked about, they do hit better at home. They have been hitting better of late. But the bullpen in particular points me towards the Oakland side as well. So we got one more 10 o'clock game here, Robbie. We got Washington at San Diego. Joey Lucchesi, correct, Robbie?
Yeah, Joey Lucchesi, yep.
Yeah, he's on the hill, coming from the left side versus Patrick Corbin for the Nats. We got 7.5 being the total. Looks like pretty much a pick'em price here. Pods is a short favorite, minus 110 in Petco. Late night action here, Robbie. You looking to get involved?
Well, first inclination for me, Drew, was to look at the under. Patrick Corbin is off just a disastrous start his last time out, and I figure him to bounce back against one of the worst offenses against left-handed pitching in the major leagues this year. So he's got the edge as a starting pitcher against this particular offense. And you put Pat Corbin in Petco rather than, in Washington where the ball travels much better. I think you'll get a really good start out of him. The other side of that coin is, Joey Lucchesi has put together 4 great starts in a row. If you just go ahead and total up his numbers over the last 4, he's pitched 25 1/3 innings. He's only allowed 16 base runners. That equates to a 0.63 whip, 2.49 ERA. One thing I love to look at with starting pitchers, Drew, just to see how efficient they are if they struggle through innings, is the pitches per inning. And in Lucchesi's case, in the last 4 starts, he's averaging 13 pitches per inning. That's a great number for a starting pitcher to be right at that 13 mark. He's had a couple of starts here where one start, where he actually had 11. The others are very, very steady. So he's not straining to get through orders whatsoever. He's doing a real good job. However, it scares me a little bit that the Nationals are as good against left-handed pitching as they are, third best OPS in Major League Baseball against lefties. Like I say, San Diego doesn't hit them. Washington does hit them. San Diego doesn't really hit at home. I think both of these pitchers are due for big starts. The coast-to-coast travel hurts a little bit. Washington comes from the Eastern time zone yesterday all the way out west. They do get their 3 hours back. Tough for me to pick a side here. If you were really splitting hairs, I think you'd go with the Washington offense, but you're scared to death of the Washington bullpen, right? Who the heck wants that? And that bullpen, as bad as it is, has some fatigue issues as well. I don't think you'd want any part of that here tonight. The fact that Sean Doolittle, their closer, has thrown 3 of the last 4 nights, 4 out of 5 if he has to throw here. I wouldn't bet on him being as effective as he normally is. Barraclough throws 24 pitches yesterday. They've just got bullpen issues. We'll see how deep Corbin can go, maybe subside some of those bullpen problems. But I think under 7.5, if you get 2 real good starts out of these 2 guys, I think you have to cross your fingers at the end of the game and hope that the bullpen for Washington doesn't wreck it for you. But if that's your fear, then go ahead and play the 5-inning under. Might be the best bet of all.
Yeah, I mean, getting the Nationals bullpen involved, unless you're betting against them, is something I would definitely tell the listeners to be careful of doing on a night-in, night-out basis. Robbie, with the Washington Nats having to travel cross-country, and they just played yesterday, so
right.
Not a lot of time to go across the country here and playing a baseball game. How much are you factoring that in?
Yeah, I think you have to factor it in a little bit, Drew. Definitely. I took it into consideration. It's why I didn't play the side here in this particular contest. I know that when you go east to west, you do, like I said earlier, you get 3 hours back. And most of the time your starting pitcher is the guy that's rested the best. You know what the situation is going to be. They knew ahead of time that he was going to be the starter here in San Diego, coast-to-coast travel day. He should be fine. It's the lineup that you worry about a little more. Hopefully they're not jet-lagged at all. We'll see. Start of a trip for the Washington Nationals. I know they want to get it off on the right foot. Certainly offensively, they've been much better as of late. It'll be interesting, Drew. I tried to check the lineups just to see if Howie Kendrick was going to be in that lineup, because they've got kind of a maintenance plan for him where Howie Kendrick plays a couple days, then doesn't play. I can't see him not being in the lineup here against a lefty. He's absolutely raking this year at his age. You'd love to have him in there, and it does give Washington a real advantage as far as offense is concerned.
Okay, and in the travel, it was a 1 o'clock game yesterday, so they did get on the road. At least a getaway day type of deal for Washington Nationals. And guys, remember the coupon code VENO at checkout for its 1-year all access for $500 off at sportsmemo.com. We'll keep that active for 2 days here. We got Toronto Golden State, Robbie. Game 4, Friday, June 7th. Let's talk about it a little bit, maybe try to get out ahead of any moves that might happen in the marketplace. We got 215.5 to 216.5 actually as the total full point move, depending where you're shopping here on the total. And it looks like 4.5 or 5 Golden State Warriors laying at home, Robbie. So this is a good one to shop around because there's 4.5s out there, there's 5. So depending on which side you're looking to bet, you can find the better number for you. Make sure to have more than one sports book in order to do that. But Robbie, Golden State, a lot of kind of rumors, down 2-1. Is Durant going to come back? It really is. How healthy are they going to be, and is it even possible? Also, after that loss, being back at home, what do you think for kind of bounce back opportunities here for the Warriors, or do you look towards the Raptors? And that last game was actually a real showing for what's to come.
Yeah, I mean, it's a total desperation game for Golden State. You'd have to believe. I mean, to go down 3-1 and then, have to pull off a 3-game sweep. Not that Golden State at full health is incapable of it, but you don't want to be in that position when 2 of the 3 games are going to be played in Toronto. So, to me, it's, as precautionary of a stance that Golden State took last night. I'm not going to say that they didn't care if they won or lost, but they were precautionary, playing for the long haul with the health of Klay Thompson, with the health of Kevin Durant. I think they'll be just the opposite tomorrow. I mean, again, that's just projection. Nothing that we know for sure, but you would have to believe that in this particular situation, you'll see Durant, you'll see Klay Thompson. Now the question is, which Kevin Durant, or how much of Kevin Durant and how much of Klay Thompson are you going to get? You're not going to get 100% because they're both going to play partially hurt if they play. But still, to have them both on the floor at the same time with Steph Curry, I think makes a big, big difference. Now, it looks like people are trying to get out ahead of that because we've seen the line, the opener, go from 4.5 to 5 to 5.5 at Pinnacle I'm looking at right now. Total open 216, which is more in line with the opening numbers from games 1 and 2, where it opened at 215 and 215.5. All 3 of these games, Drew, have been bet down where total is concerned. There's been under money in every game. Game 1, 215 down to 212.5. Game 2, 215.5 down to 214. Game 3, 214 down to 210. Yet 2 of these 3 games have gone over the total. And then the other one missed by a point because nobody scored for the last 5.5 minutes in next game number 2. So it'll be interesting to see where they play the total. I'm sure if news breaks that Durant and Thompson are going to be in this game, then you're going to see money toward the over. So if you like over now and you think those guys are going to play, I'd bet it at 216 before it moves. You could be patient and wait, but you'd probably be on the wrong side of the number. And as for the game, same advice. It looks like guys are trying to get out ahead of it already. Power ratings to me at full health, power ratings that I keep suggest Golden State would be a 6.5 point favorite at full health. Everybody ready to go. We may approach 5.5, 6, maybe 6 once game time comes if both of those guys go. But again, we await word on that. We're not real sure which way it's going to go. My instinct is that both of those guys will play here.
So you do think Durant will come back and play?
I do. I just think that it's down 2-1. You can't afford to be down 3-1. I think they'll use them. Again, the effectiveness is the question, Drew, and it's up to each sports bettor, handicapper bettor, how good you think these guys will even be. Just because Kevin Durant's on the floor, the name alone isn't going to put up 30 points. He's got to be good enough, and the injury looked pretty bad when he suffered it, and he's been out for quite a few games now, so there'll be some rust for sure. Same with Klay Thompson, although I think Klay Thompson probably, from the looks of the way he was moving around yesterday, even though he didn't play, and the amount of objection that he put up to not playing, I think that just shows he's in better shape as far as going tomorrow is. So we'll see. Golden State will have to play better defense than they did last night. One thing really quick statistically, if you're looking through this series through all the statistical categories, these teams are separated by a sheet of paper. There's only one number that sticks out drastically in all three games, and that is the team that's been better from the field has won the game, and they've been much better from the field. Field goal percentage shooting in Game 1, Toronto was 7 percentage points better than Golden State. Toronto won. Game 2, Golden State was 9.1 percentage points better. Golden State won. Then, of course, last night, Toronto was near 13 points better, percentage points better. Those are big, big differences in all three games, and that's the only thing I can find that stands out as far as statistical separation in this series goes. So if Golden State's healthy, I don't know. If you think they're going to be 90% those two guys, and go ahead and play them. It looks like people are thinking that already. They're playing the desperation mode and the fact that they believe Thompson and Durant will be back in the lineup.
Yeah, I could definitely see that, Robbie. And guys, coupon code Veno at checkout for his 1 year all access for $500 off at sportsmemo.com. Robbie, we're going to have you back on tomorrow, Friday, breaking down the Big Ten. Anything else you want to throw out for tonight's podcast before we shut this down?
Yeah, a small baseball card, but we do have plays up and available, so go right ahead. A 4%er here tonight. Baseball's been really good over yesterday and today on a 5-1 run, so go ahead and grab it while it's still up there for tonight, and then especially tune in tomorrow, because I don't know, Drew, I haven't listened to a lot, but I doubt that there's a lot of these podcasts that are covering college football as in-depth as we are right now with season previews, so you don't want to miss it. We'll get you all the good information tomorrow.
Yeah, Robbie Veno knows his college football. He also knows his NBA. NBA playoffs 70-43, 62% since 2016. Also his 5%ers. Look out for that. If he's got another one this season, I don't know. 28-12, 70% the last 5 years. That's his top-rated 5% plays in the NBA. So, guys, thanks for tuning in. And we will be back tomorrow, Friday, talking Big Ten football. So best of luck with your bets. We'll talk tomorrow.